Hi, Jeff here with Mr. Hardware. This video is going to demonstrate our new carbureted hopper system. Basically what we're going to do is take a standard setup with just a 3/4 inch ball valve here, and what we're going to do is add on our carburetor to the bottom. We're going to use a blue hose to connect it up to our pressure regulator bracket here, and from there we're going to be able to drive our media further, and it's going to help to provide a more even media flow. Now this is the air compressor that we're going to use behind me. It's just an 8-gallon, 2 horsepower, and it's and what we're basically going to do is use this pressure here to drive the media through the hose. So the first thing we're going to do now is open up our case, and the first thing we see here is our blue hose. We're going to set our hose off to the side and open it up, and here's our Venturi Assisted Carburetor right here. So this unit here is going to screw onto the bottom using a 3/4 inch threaded nipple, pipe nipple. So why don't we do that? We'll thread this on right now. There we go. Twist it on like that. It doesn't need to be really super tight. So put it on here, and you'll see that in this, when we ship it, it has a nut on it, but we're going to replace that with our gauge. So we'll screw the gauge on like this, and we'll twist it around to where the green is at the bottom. We're good. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach the bracket that goes onto the cart at the top here, and there's a couple thumb screws like this that simply go through the cart. So put this on like this. Okay. Just twist it up tight. Alright, so our bracket's on the cart now, and now all we need to do is take our regulator assembly here, and we just need to thread it onto our bracket, like this. There you go. I'm going to use a small crescent wrench just to tighten it up. Alright, that should do it. Now the next thing to do is to reach for that blue hose. So here's the blue connector hose, and we're going to connect up our regulator assembly to the front here to our carburetor. Now what we need is an attachment here to go onto one of these valves, and they're located in here. So here you go, we have an adapter and we have a quick connect fitting. We thread that onto here. Take your crescent wrench and tighten it up like this. And now we can just plug this into here. Okay, got it. So we're basically assembled now. And what we're going to do now is take our air from the air compressor, and we're going to plug it into our regulator assembly. The first thing we're going to do, however, is make sure our red lever is closed, because we don't want to blow out these gauges here with too much pressure. So close this and make this gauge down to 0. Close it down to 0. So we'll take off this connector, and we will just put it right in there. Now you can see here that this gauge is about 125 psi, which is the same pressure that's in the tank now. And now all we need to do is distribute this pressure to our carburetor. And all we got to do that is to open up our red valve, like so. We'll open up this valve here, and now if we turn this gauge, you can hear the air flowing through here. In fact, If we turn this up higher, we'll have more air pressure, and if we plug this, our needle should go into the red area. So I'm going to turn this back down now, and now we're really ready for operation. That's all it takes to assemble the Venturi Assist Carburetor and the bracket. So next what we'll do is we'll move our tools out of the way. We'll close up our case. This is a heavy-duty case cut out to protect all the equipment. We'll set this off to the side, and let's put some sand into our hopper now, and we'll be ready to go. So these hoppers hold over 100 pounds of material, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some industrial sand. Now this is 20 grit, which is very, very abrasive. As a reference point, MaxStrip PT2 is only about 30 grit, which is lighter. Glass bead is even lighter, probably at 40, and your sodium bicarbonates and PF2 are more like 40 to 60. And so this is a very heavy grit of blast media, but that's what we're going to use here to test out our system. And it's a good idea to practice with a heavier media at home or in your garage or in your shop to get a feeling for how the system works. So what I'm going to do now is just pour this media in to our hopper, and it'll take a whole 100 pounds and more, and that'll get us started. Let's pour this in. Okay. Woo. There we go. All right, so I got to pour this in pretty heavy. There we go. Now that we have it tilted up, you can see that we have our casters on here. It helps moving it around when it's so heavy. And here's our gun that we're going to use. And we have our drain snake here. And this system runs great with 50 feet of hose, and you can even use more if you want. So let's pour this in here. Alrighty, we got it. Now we'll tilt it back. There you go. That's it, right there. Now these systems here, they have our twist lock lid on it, which is vented. This thing can go up or down. If it's down, there's no air getting in. If it's up, there's air. So why don't we put this on the top. There we go. And now what we can do, now that we have the blast media in the hopper, what we can do now is we can open up our valve here, and media is going to start flowing through. And if we open up our gauges now, the force of our air, or forced air, is going to drive the media through the carburetor and pull down some of the media. So you should see it come out. So we'll open it up a little bit. And there it is. So you can see the media coming out just like that. And that's a nice steady stream of media. Now for example, if you do too much media, you're basically blowing air right through the system and it's bypassing the hopper. So you want to... So the air compressor is going to cut in and out to maintain the pressure in the tank. And so that'll turn on every few minutes as we start moving air through the system. So basically that's how it works. Now there's three colors on the gauge. You have yellow, green, and red. Yellow is for a vacuum. Like when we turn on the system here with our pressure washer, there's going to be a lot of vacuum in here, and that vacuum is going to be distributed through the hose and into the carburetor, which is going to pull the media. So if we were to close all these valves and pull our handle, our needle would go into the vacuum phase. It'd go negative pressure. Now if we start turning this up and block this side, then we have positive pressure, and the pressure is going to want to go up. So that's why we make it red for danger. You really don't want to block this side and turn it up to 100 psi, because it'll just blow the media right up. But what you do want to do is keep it in the green area, because the green area is where you just have a little bit of positive pressure to keep that media flowing, just like that. Okay, so the next thing we need to do now is we just really need to add our hose. And this hopper is going to come with 50 feet of hose. So why don't we put this on here? And I think what I'll do is I'm going to add the hose barb. I mean we got a clamp here. So why don't we put a clamp on here just to keep it tight? And so that clamp would go here like this. All right, and I should tighten it up with my screwdriver, but I don't have it handy with me right here, so we're just going to go as is. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put this side of the hose onto our gun here, okay? And now all we have to do is hook up our pressure washer. And in the next video, we'll turn everything on and we can watch the media flowing through the hose, and we'll be able to adjust our regulator.